First off, how did you get onto the story, and how long did it really take you to uncover this?
We had an unusual call back about 3 years ago. It was passed on to me from a business editor at the Times who said there was a guy at a branch in the San Fernando Valley section of Los Angeles who was saying that they had been rewarded for selling so many accounts, so many credit cards, providing so many services to people, and they had all done this under a lot of pressure. And then some complaints cropped up, and the next thing you knew, they were firing people for doing the very same thing that they had praised them for. It was an unusual tip, and so that's what we wound up pursuing.
And that's it, because I've gone back, I've read some of your excellent reporting, some of the follow-up stories with some of the people in other papers as well, which is, they all seem to kind of say the same thing, which is either A, they didn't do a good enough job according to the company and so they got fired, or B, they literally just couldn't take the pressure and it felt kind of slimy. What was sort of the majority focus of the employees and former employees that you spoke with, Scott? Does that mirror it?
Yeah, I think so. We talked to dozens of employees all around the country in the ensuing weeks before we did the large investigative piece that was published in December of 2013. The stories were pretty similar all over, and it had to do with extraordinary pressure coming down from regional managers onto the branch managers, who then pressured the frontline employees and in some cases coached them in how to improperly goose up their sales figures.
Like what? Like how do they coach them? What do they say?
Well, there are, one of the things they did was to tell people wrongly that they couldn't open a certain kind of account unless they took a credit card or a debit card or something. In other cases, they coached them in how to use the employees' information to open accounts without the customers knowing. So you had both things. You had customers who sort of accepted accounts that they didn't need, maybe because they liked the banker. And then in other cases, they were opening accounts without the customer's knowledge, and in some cases, taking money out of one of the customer's accounts to open the other account.
Why do you suspect that it took as long as it did for the feds to come to where they have come? And I gather that some local law enforcement people, both in the city and in the state, moved more quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. One of the things I think you could learn from this was that the national bank regulator, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, was not on the ball, or did not appear to be on the ball. From what we've seen in the news conferences that they've had, it was only after the city attorney of Los Angeles read our story, set up a hotline, and started talking to customers and employees that the investigation really began. And it was a year and a half later before the city attorney, Mike Fuhrer, filed his lawsuit. As far as I can tell, the OCC got serious about doing their investigation only then.
Are you more surprised that federal regulators didn't step in earlier, or that Wells Fargo continued this culture that rewarded people to open up these accounts? I mean, John Stump, the CEO, has been CEO since 2007. He's been chairman of the board since 2010. So this is the guy who was in place at the time that you reported this article as well.
Yes, I mean, I think it's disappointing that they couldn't, at the very least, they didn't control this sales culture. We had done reporting on other companies, financial firms, that had extreme sales cultures. And the thing you learn is that there better be some really, really good controls in place if you're going to set that up, because you will wind up with employees gaming the system. And that's what happened here. I had no idea it would be on this scale, as the CFPB discovered. 2 million, at least, accounts that were unwarranted, unneeded setup.
Scott, could you go back to the original thing that you said? The original tip comes from somebody in an office where they had gotten these, you know, whatever prizes they deserved for having opened all these accounts. So they were incentivized to do this. And then some people get fired. I assume it's somebody who's angry about getting fired that calls you. What happened there? Why would they have been fired after they had achieved what the company had wanted them to do?
Well, you know, what you heard from a lot of these folks, and it's something that we saw in investigating some subprime lenders, back in 2005, I was working with Mike Hudson, is the company said that, look, we police this. We know it's a problem, and when things get really bad, we'll fire the offending employees who violate our policies, and we will fire entire, branches if we have to. And that's what you heard here. Whether that is an acceptable way to proceed, to wait till things get completely out of hand and then fire a bunch of people, or whether it would be a better idea to make sure that these things don't happen, that you have some constraints in place that prevent this from happening.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the I right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.